Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody throughout this crazy world, this is the Monkey Man with another Straight from the Monkey's Mouth. We just finished up elementary school, and now we are fast forwarding to middle school, and when things starts to really get fun. So, for anybody who watches this, thank you so much for watching this. If you like this, like it. If you like hearing stories like this, I'm just going to keep uploading them every week. Until I'm done with my high school stories, then I'll start figuring something else to upload. So, middle school. Unlike elementary school, where I moved around a lot, I only have 2 school experiences that I have. One that is no longer here, and one where I was created. The first one we will talk about, called the Red Schoolhouse, which evolved into the Beaches School. And it was a little private school in the beach, and I spent about 6th grade, I spent my entire 6th grade there. And my cousin spent time there when he was younger, in elementary school. And this was a small little private school to where pretty much everybody who was in your class pretty much went up at the same time as you. So you spent school with literally everybody all the way until you were done with middle school. So from preschool all the way up till 8th grade, you could have stayed in this school if you wanted to, if your parents kept you there. I was there, I sat in on a class for one day, so I met a couple of them. When I went in there for 1 year, a couple of them recognized me from that one day, so that kind of helped. And because they actually knew my cousin, that kind of helped a little bit along. I was manipulated a little bit because there was a girl I liked in that class, and everybody knew it, and everybody was messing with me. That wasn't like, I've been manipulated by women on many different occasions on think this way, do this or that, and then not be the right way. But that one, I can look back now and be like, no, that was silly teasing. That was my stupidity mixed with silly teasing. That was nothing. I've had worse kind of bit with that. But 6th grade, that was the start of when I start more remembering things, when things start really sticking. There was a game called Beautiful Joe, and that stuck with me, and that created a hand sign that I always did as a kid, which now evolves into my hand sign, and which I will make famous, but that'll be later down the line. I might make a story as to where my ideas and everything come from. So, I wasn't hated, I wasn't liked, but they didn't hate me. It was kind of a mutual village thing. Like, we were friendly, we did things together and everything like that. It was different. It wasn't as bad. It was shitty, but I think partially most of that was because of me. Because I had just came from elementary school, and all my PTSD and all this stuff with my acting out through elementary school. This was the first year that it was completely different. So, and it was a private school. It was much more calmed down than a public school. So, I'm sure a couple of private schools are a bit different. Mine wasn't. It was really, really, really tiny. So, I had probably the most influential teachers that taught me everything. I had a history teacher named Mr. Stouch, who really got me into history. I am not a history fan, not like modern history. Like, I don't give a shit about wars or stuff like that, but I like knowing about crazy people or crazy events and stuff like that, and Mr. Stouch kind of helped me with that. Mr. Hibble, who was my English teacher in there. He was a very quiet older man, Mr. Bruce Hibble. And I ran into him a couple old times after school and everything. I wish I knew where he was, because I would love to talk with him now. But me moved out and actually have a conversation with him. He was a real cool guy, and he got me into really good at spelling, literature, and all kinds of things like that. Like, he was a real nice, very influential guy. We had our science and math teacher, Miss White. She was a sweetheart, a real happy older lady. She was also a yoga instructor. Got me into yoga at 6th grade when we did our PE classes. And also, I don't remember the computer teacher's name, but she was nice. She was nice when we had her. She taught me how to type properly and everything like that. And yeah, she helped me out. We also had this substitute teacher. It was pretty much just one substitute teacher for the private school, Mr. Sullivan, who, funny enough, I was friends with him. Through him, I learned that he was also roommates with Mr. Stouch, the history teacher. So that was kind of cool. So that private school honestly wasn't that bad, but I was only there for 1 year. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. But then we go right into the lion's den. Duncan, you Fletcher Middle School. Oh my. This is where the string of everything begins. Because I stayed there. I was in Fletcher Middle School, and I was through Fletcher High School the entire time. This Fletcher was where I stayed until the end of my school year. So, a good half of 7th grade is, I don't remember was awkward figuring things out and whatever. First thing was, my first big change was my very first day when I sat in PE class. Because I sat down on the bleachers just looking around at everybody, and the first thing I realized was everybody was cussing. Now, you know, when you're a kid, you cuss with like friends when you're away from the... well, at least for me. Some kids had it differently, but for me, we never cussed around people like that. We were really clean mouse or whatever. I slipped in front of my parents from time to time, but nothing like that. That was the first time I really heard anybody like really cuss and it not be a thing. And I remember literally just be like, funny story, just me sitting there just like, shit, fuck, God, just sitting by myself, just that moment of me cussing alone and just saying it, it's just like, holy shit. And that was a very surreal moment, and it was really amazing. And I was still acting out a lot. It was a transition. Again, I don't condone what I did back in the day, but it's what I did because I didn't know how to handle everything or anyone in any way like that. So it's just what it was. But again, I had great teachers. I had Mr. Lanham. He got me into history and things like that. Science teachers, Miss Nielsen, and math, all PE was great. And this was when I started not having so many enemies, but the enemies and the outbreaks started to decline because I actually started having people that were around me. And there was only one that I could clearly tell was using me, but I didn't care. And then the rest of them legitimately cared. The first one, I won't throw his name out just because respect for him. I'll call him Mike. And Mike was the son of a coach in the school. And the first time I met this coach was when Mike was acting up, and the teachers used to threaten to call the dad if ever he was messing up. So Mike was messing up. They called dad, and dude threw the freaking desk like across the classroom. It was wicked. That dude was. I first met the coach with his ass like right in my face because Mike sat next to me. It was funny. So I had a small group of friends that I slowly conglomerated. Two, well, let me rephrase that. One, I don't talk to. One, I have on Facebook, and one I'm still looking for. The one I don't talk to is just, and the one I still on Facebook, I will not reveal their names. Just because I don't have their permission. But this other one, I'm going to say his name because I am looking for him. Another part of if these things ever lead to anything, if these videos lead to anything, I hope the people in my life that mean something actually see these videos and actually reach out to me because I'm looking for them. So I'm going to say the first one that I'm looking for, his name is Gunther Anderson. Weird name, but he was interesting. He was a blonde kid. I'm like 5'11", I'm pushing 6. He was like 6 foot or like maybe just slightly shorter or right at my height. But he was a skinny, short kid with a slump. Easiest way you could tell him was he smelled like cat piss. And I'm not making that up. He literally at all times smelled like cat urine. It was weird, but it is what it was. He became my best friend all the way through 7th and 8th grade. He was my through half of 8th grade because he disappeared. But Gunther was a real good friend of mine. And then we had the one I don't talk to anymore. I'll name him Keith. And Keith, he was a real stoic individual. He didn't have much emotion towards him, except for bottled up hatred and anger. Again, nobody was taller than me, because I'm a tall guy, but Keith was bigger in mass, not as much as, like, muscle, but he was built. He always had the look of just calm, menacing anger. But for some reason, he hung out with us, and he told us his crazy stories and things like that. I have personally seen Keith literally take his hand and smash it on a desk. The damn impact sounded like lightning. He did that to scare a kid. I saw that kid in gym the next period crying. Like, he was terrified. Like, he didn't feel pain. That was another thing. Like, Keith was a maniacal, creepy dude, but we had great conversations. He was a real cool dude. And then the other one, what am I going to call him? The one I still have on Facebook. I'm going to call him Jack. I'm going to call him Jack. I'm going to call him Jack Jackson because his name kind of rhymed, kind of rolled together. Jack Jackson is his name. And Jack, he is bigger, heavyset black kid, but he was a real cool guy. He was a real bit of a dork, a light-spoken one, but quick to jump up and do what he gotta do. He was a real ride-or-die good friend like that. And, I forgot one more, and he and I are still friends. And I don't think he would give a shit if I'm not going to give his full name, but I don't think he would mind if I gave him a shout out. Charles, my dude. We've had our ups and downs for years, but he has always been there for me through the years, has been a real good friend. Charles is a real good guy, and I salute him. And then it started out with them for the longest time. And there was a couple of guys that came and went. But it was 8th grade. That was when things started to form truly. Like I said, Gunther, he was there for a while, but then he disappeared after a little bit of 8th grade. Keith, he wasn't there for 8th grade. He did some things like that. And Jack, I don't remember if he was in 8th grade, but he was in 9th grade. I don't remember him being in 8th grade. But when I was in 8th grade, I've been preoccupied with my inner circle that I had. I had Charles, I had Gunther, and I kind of had Mitchell, whatever, oops, Mike. But it wasn't until a play, we went to a field trip downtown, and we had a play in 8th grade to this book called The Outsiders, that I had the conglomeration that I had more friends than I thought I had. And it was a group of female friends that I will forever be indebted to. And I will not say their full names, but I will do abbreviations. Leah, Millie, and Liz. Leah, Millie, and Liz. Let's see if I can keep that going on myself. And these three, it was at that moment when we were at the landing having lunch and they called me over to sit down with them. And I don't remember hanging out with them anytime beforehand, or them being around us anytime beforehand. I remember Liz being around at some points here and there, but I don't remember Leah or Millie being anywhere around this situation, but they were there. And at that lunch point was the first time that I realized, wow, okay, these were people that actually cared about me. They were the first people that I truly considered friendly or not a threat out of all these years. And it was at 8th grade that at that moment that my first real light switch hit me. Because in 7th grade I was still fucking up a little bit. I went to the principal's office here and there. And I might make a video tomorrow, like I did the first video, addressing the things I think I forgot, because this video is running pretty far. But yeah, that lunch was the first time that I believed that I truly realized things were okay with me. Or at that point, I went through all this craziness. I went through a crazy principal. I went through people manipulating me to do this or do that or whatever. I went through traveling and having many people claim as friends turn enemies, and going in trash cans and toilets and lockers. And it was at that moment when we sat down, the four of us in the landing, after watching The Outsiders play, that was the first time that I realized that things were different and I could calm down. I didn't have to be that anymore. And the four of us, well, let me rephrase that. We created a small group because Gunther, he disappeared. But Charles knew Liz and them back from when they were kids. So it just created a whole conglomeration of this micro group that we created. A group of 5, 6, or vague amount of people. No, we actually had a bunch of underclassmen in 8th grade. They joined us. Christopher and like 2 other kids. I don't remember, but they were friends of us. We had this blonde kid, Caleb. We had a bunch of people just came around us. Like that was the first time that I actually had a group of friends that was a structure, and I wasn't on edge thinking they were gonna change on me or screw me over like my other ones did. It was the first time in my life that I could lower my guard and not have to worry about it. Like, I got in trouble. I almost got expelled my 3rd grade year, my 4th grade year, my 5th grade year, 6th grade year, and 7th grade year, just because I was acting out and just out of paranoia or whatever it was. 8th grade, that was the first time that I truly calmed down and I didn't get in trouble at all. Just because I didn't really want to anymore. It was just easier. Like, I had what I needed, and it for the first time, it felt right to me, and it was thinking about it now, like surreal thinking about it now, but yeah. So that's middle school. Like I said, I might do a video tomorrow with the things I missed. But next week, I'm a little scared of next week. Scared of what's next. High school. That has a lot of good points in my life. That's a lot of bad points in my life. That's where some things started, and that's all kinds of craziness. I don't know how big I can make these stories with high school. I got stories for that, but I don't know. We shall see. Till then, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next one.